How's it going, guys? Cody, guys, back again, dropping yet another video. Third video of the day, guys, right? Fucking spoiling you today, aren't I? Sorry that you keep seeing me ugly mug and stuff. My subscribers are shooting up. I think I'm 19 short now of 1,600. Absolutely blown away, guys, literally. So someone's commented asking me to do a video on writing to prisoners, right? Now, first things first, right, I'm going to try and cover both bases, right? So if you've got a loved one that's in prison, or you've got a friend that you've heard's gone to prison, but you've not got a direct link to him, right? Or you'd like his family to find out his prison ID number or something like that, what you can do, right? You can Google locate a prisoner, UK, England or something, and it'll come up with a government website, and under that there's a prisoners families helpline as well, and what they'll do, they'll help you try and locate your loved one or a lost friend or something in the prison system, because they might have been shipped out to a different prison, or you've wrote to them at one prison but you've not had a reply. So if you can't locate somebody, right, you Google how to locate a prisoner, England, right? And there's two websites. There's a government website. I'll put both the links in the description below so you guys can have a look. It can be a long, drawn-out process. You're not necessarily going to find that person, because how it works, right, they act as like a broker. They contact the person in prison and say, Mr. Smith, Mr. John Smith wants to connect with you. Are you happy for us to pass your details to him so he can correspond with you? If he says yes, you're good. If he says no, then that's the end of it. If you've got a loved one that's in a certain prison, say you know that your loved one's in Strangeways, right? I use Strangeways, guys, because I'm from Manchester, and that's a prison I've been in. So if you've got a loved one that's in Strangeways and you're like, well, I don't know his prison number, right? So what you do, right, would be write the prison, you write on the envelope, right? So the prisoner's name, in brackets, right, if you know it, you'd write the prison number above it, right, if you've got the prison number. If you haven't got the prison number, you write his name, and then in brackets next to it, you'd write his date of birth. The reason I say you write his date of birth is because you might have more than one prisoner by the same name in that prison, right? So that's why you do it, because it narrows it down. So it's him, because there might be 3 prisoners in the prison with that name, and they don't want to send the wrong letter to the wrong prisoner, do you? When you write to somebody in prison, guys, when you write to a loved one in prison, you should always, right, put a stamped addressed envelope in. Now, someone might say, what's a stamped addressed envelope? Many of you might know, some of you might not. A stamped addressed envelope is when you write the letter to your loved one in prison, man or a woman, whatever, right, because we've got female prisoners, right, you write on a separate envelope, you will write your name, your address, and you'll put a stamp in the top right-hand corner, right? Why? Because stamps are like, cost the same as they do on the outside, but in prison you only get 2 free prison letters a week. They're called OLs, right? So what you'll do is if you write a letter, then you get this, you put this stamped addressed envelope, you fold that up, you put it in the envelope with the letter that you're sending to your loved one inside, and obviously on the front you write their prison number if you know it, their name. If you don't know the prison number, you write the date of birth next to it. If you don't know the prison number, you just send the name, the address. So if you was writing to someone in Strangeways, it'd be John Smith, HMP Manchester, Southall Street, Manchester. I think it's M60 9AH or something like that for Strangeways, the address and stuff, right? And then, like I say, you send the letter to the prison, you post it. It arrives at the prison open the mail, they'll check it, and then they'll send it on to your loved one. They'll send it to the wing, and then the wing, one of the screws will go around, and in the afternoon, or they'll post it through the side of your door, or they'll slide it underneath your door, and that's how you get your mail and stuff. Cheapest way to correspond with somebody in prison is email a prisoner. In my experience, from what I'm aware, not every prison's got it. They've rolled it out and stuff. Most prisons have email a prisoner. The prisoner can't email you back. I've been told in certain prisons that they're able to, but in my experience, they're not able to correspond to these emails. So you send them an email, and then they'll have to use one of their OLs to write back to you. But again, certain prisons apparently you can email back. There's a big thing in HMP alt course at the moment where you send a letter into your loved one. They're having a big problem with, just like all prisons, they're having a big problem with spice. Now, spice paper, right, which is the spice soaked into spice paper, and people are getting it and they're smoking it, right? So what the HMP alt course are doing, they're actually photocopying prisoners' letters and then giving it them. And if they're sending pictures in, they're photocopying them and then they're giving them the prisoner. They're trying to intercept and trying to crack down on spice paper. But prisoners are ingenious at getting drugs into prisons, and they'll continue to adapt, and they'll move the goalposts again, and then the prison will have to try and catch up, and then they'll move the goalposts again because that prisoners want to get the drugs inside because it's big business. So writing, you've got email a prisoner. You can write to them, or if you write to them and stuff like that, and you want to be put, if you're sending your first letter to a loved one in prison and it's their first time in prison, when you write the letter, be sure to put at the bottom of your piece of paper be your name, your date of birth, your address. Why? So they can clear your details for a visit. Also send them in your landline, your mobile, whatever. If they don't know it, some people go to prison and they might have been remanded, they might have been arrested on the street, been charged, denied bail. They've not got any phone numbers on them. So if you write to someone inside for the first time, make sure to put your mobile number, your contact details, your date of birth and stuff, so they can clear you for a visit, and also put an app in to clear your number as well. So that's that. When the prisoner sends the mail out and stuff, they put it in a box at the end of the wing. At the end of each night, the night clock normally comes and collects it, and then it goes out the following day. It is well known within prisons and stuff that certain prisons or certain prison officers, if they don't like you and stuff, your letters can go missing. You don't receive your mail. You get delayed mail. Your mail gets delayed getting sent out. All sorts of problems, guys. Correspondence whilst in prison, in my assessment, in my honest opinion, and in my personal experience, massive morale booster. If your loved one goes to prison for the first time, or they've gone back inside for the 20th time, send them pictures, whether that's of you, whether that's of the kids, whether that's of him and his boys, or you see what I'm saying? The morale boosters, prisoners, then what they do, when you send photos in, they get prison toothpaste, or glue as we call it, prison toothpaste, and then you've got like a little slot space on your wall. You put all your pictures up there. When you're down, you have a look at them and stuff, and they raise your morale and stuff. Getting visits raises your morale. Getting letters from a loved one, you get raises your morale. Stuff like that, guys. So yeah, writing to someone in prison, like I said, if you know who they are, if you've got an old friend that you might have read, or he's in the prison system, say it was a big story and he's in prison, right, and you don't know what prison he's in, right? Like I said, you use these websites that I'm going to put in the description below, and you can contact somebody that way. If you're looking to contact high-profile prisoners, guys, what I used to do because I used to write to certain high-profile prisoners and stuff and things like that, you'd type in the name of the person, and then I used to put video link or prison, and then if there was a story where it come up with, like, I don't know, Charles Bronson, right? You'd say Charles Bronson, Wakefield prison, right? But he's been moved anyway. He's been shipped out after he gripped up the deputy governor of Wakefield. He's been shipped up to Franklin and stuff. So like I say, that there's ways and means to be able to locate certain prisoners and high profile prisoners and stuff like that. If it's in the media and stuff like that, like I say, you just Google the name and the prison they're in, and then you can, if it's a recent story, chances are they're still in that prison, but the prison system, they do move you about and stuff like that. But yeah, it goes on that way if you're getting shipped out or you've been dispersed or something like that, dispersal units. It goes on if there's been a problem, like when there was a riot in Birmingham, the prison I was in was used as a dispersal unit. But yeah, guys, like I say, you can locate high profile prisoners and stuff within the prison system. You just got to do a bit of research and stuff. Yeah, like example, Peter Sutcliffe, he's in Franklin. Ian Huntley, I think he's in Franklin. So yeah, it's quite what's he called? Dennis Nielsen, the serial killer. He was in Full Sutton. obviously serial killer Ian Brady, he's now burning in hell. He was in Ashworth, which isn't a prison, it's a psychiatric unit. It's one of the 3 most secure in England. You've got Rampton, you've got Broadmoor, and you've got Ashworth. So that's that. But yeah, receiving letters whilst you're in prison and stuff, and like, I can't tell you, it raises your morale, it gives you a focus. The thing is, like, when you get the letter and stuff, right, you'll end up finding yourself reading a letter about 1 million times, even if it's a few weeks old and you've got other letters, you'll go back, and if you've got birthday cards or Valentine's cards or whatever, you'll go back and you'll read them, or you'll go for a shit, you'll go and sit on the toilet, you'll be reading a letter from your loved one. It keeps your spirits up, it keeps your momentum. You've got pictures there, constant, anything it's the little things whilst you're in prison that can raise your morale. Like I said, getting visits, getting letters, getting your canteen, things like that gives you morale boost. Getting photographs of your loved one, of your missus or something, she might be a bit covering her nipples or whatever, do you know what I mean? And it raises your morale, it gives you a focus. There's a light at the end of the tunnel, you've got something to get out to. Then you've got prisoners, unfortunately, that haven't got a support network on the outside and stuff, are not receiving letters and stuff like that. And it goes on that way. But prison, like I say, letters are a big part of prison life. I used to get emails as a prisoner, right? Like I said, you can email a prisoner. I think the email prisoner is something like www.emailaprisoner.com, right? And you sign up. I think you've got to put a minimum of £5 on there, but I think it's about 34 or 43p to send an email, which is cheaper than a first class stamp. But like I say, if you're sending letters to a loved one, please put a stamped addressed envelope in the envelope, with your name, address and a stamp on there, so that it's not costing your loved one to send the letter out, because he only gets 2 OLs a week if he's writing to lots of different people, family, kids, things like that. Yeah, so always include a stamped addressed envelope if you can. But yeah, it raises the prisoners' morale. I think even for prisoners' families, obviously, I've supported people in prison, and I've been in prison, and even when you receive a letter from a friend in prison and stuff, and he's telling you what's gone on a wing, or this has happened, or that's happened, or he's been shipped out, or whatever, and you get a letter, it's a morale booster. It's like finger, and then you talk on the phone. You've got letters. You can do email a prisoner. You know what I'm saying? You get to know what's going on the wings and stuff, and like, even though you're on the outside, you're still finding what's happening on the inside and stuff, and you can find out about prices of drugs, what's happening on the regime. There's been a kick-off on a wing. There might have sadly been a death in custody. Might have got a job in a workshop or as an orderly, or it might have gone off in visits, or all this crazy stuff. A lot of crazy shit goes on in prison, guys. It's a bit of a fucking mental place. Funniest times in prison, saddest times in prison. 1 minute you're up, the next minute you're down. Just fucking, it's such a crazy fucking paranoid place. It can just blow up in an instant and stuff, and it's mad to see. Right, guys, I'm going to leave this video here. Hopefully I've answered the questions that you've referenced, like trying to locate a prisoner, writing to a prisoner, things like that. Stamped addressed envelopes, when you write to someone, put a stamped addressed envelope in. Locate a prisoner. I will put the links in the description below. Email a prisoner, like I said, www.emailaprisoner.com. Cheaper than writing letters, but in my honest assessment, I used to prefer getting handwritten letters from someone as opposed to a fucking shitty email. Simple as that. Right, guys, gonna leave it here, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. 3rd video of the day. I might even drop a 4th or a 5th. Don't fucking know, do I? Right, guys, speak to you all soon. Bye.